good soup.
Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 2, The Rightful Queen. Take 1. Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 2, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
It would be a lot easier if they just released the episode titles, so we didn't have to wait till after. And since we record right after, there's all these different names coming out, so...
Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 2, Episode 69.
Yes.
Nice.
Nice.
Arya likes that title. No Arya sex jokes?
I don't know yet. I'm not sure.
When I was a child, my brother would tell me a bedtime story about the man who murdered our father. About all the things we would do to that man. He never should have trusted Cersei.
You never should have either.
Death. It's got many faces. I look forward to seeing this one.
How long do we have? Before the sun comes up tomorrow.
And this episode begins right where the last episode ends off. It's not necessarily a kangaroo court like we predicted in the preview, but it's Jaime arriving in Winterfell, and he's in front of Daenerys, Jon, and Sansa. And this man is just being condemned throughout the entire series, and this moment is all of it coming to a head. It's almost like all of his crimes that he's committed.
Yeah.
He's finally being judged. He doesn't have his father backing him. He doesn't really have the Lannister army. He literally doesn't have the army. It's just his name. It's Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer.
And right away, Daenerys reiterates what we heard in the preview. The perception she has of this man differs from us from an audience perspective. And even Sansa, too, she brings up how she attacked Ned in the streets. And Jon, he's kind of like, we need all the men we can get.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Once again, why are we here?
But yeah, and Tyrion vouches for him, he's talking about like he's all alone. Why would he be here? And something we talked about, he has no army with him. He has nothing really to bring them except for he wants to fight.
Yes.
And we get that great scene with Brienne actually stepping up and defending Jaime. Which is nice to see after all, and she says all the things that Jaime has done for her. It's nice to see her actually come in and defend Jaime.
And that callback, too, by Sansa, something from Season 1 where Jaime does attack Ned Stark in the streets. And I like what Jaime said, too, that he's not sorry for everything he did, that he was defending his family. He was defending his brother, Tyrion, who was wrongfully imprisoned by Catelyn Stark. They were at war. But now all of that has to be put aside. And Jon Snow probably liked that. No more houses, no more loyalty. It's about fighting against the dead. That line by Bran, after Jaime does give his defense, the things that we do for love. And everybody else just looks at Bran.
Went over everybody's head. Jaime, that hit him like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, that's a deep cut reference.
It's like Littlefinger, Chaos is a Ladder. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid?
Yeah, it was another moment like that. And they have that moment where Grey Worm gives him back his sword, saying, I've got my eyes on you.
And they all kind of, Sansa leaves right away.
So does Jon.
Yeah, and then Daenerys goes a separate way, too. So,
and I think Daenerys in that moment noticed something was off with Jon. And once again, it's another reason why Daenerys is losing trust in Tyrion, because she says you were either a fool or you knew about it. And Tyrion says, I was a fool. I made another mistake.
I mean, real quick, she hasn't really mentioned that, like, Jaime was going full at her with a spear, right?
No.
That kind of,
I guess. I think that's a crime that could be forgiven.
Yeah.
She could understand why he was doing that in that moment.
I just thought that she might have thrown it in there. It's like, oh yeah, remember I saw you, and last time I saw you, you were coming at me with a spear.
Yeah. And Tyrion has the line that he thinks that either one of you, talking to Varys or Jorah, will be wearing the Hand of the King pin by the time this is all done. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that means something else, like Tyrion's going to have a new position, not necessarily being demoted. There's still a chance that Tyrion could betray her, but we'll talk about that later in this episode. I love Arya flirting with Gendry when she's talking about weapons. Mm-hmm. And it's another great moment between these two characters, and we know what happens later in the episode, but her just nudging him, saying, where's my weapon? Where's my weapon?
Yeah, I think the fastest way to prove, like, you're ready for the war, and, like, I can hang is just to fucking nail 3 bullseyes in a row right in your fucking grill. It's like, oh yeah, Gendry? I know you're looking cute. I know you're swinging that hammer, but come on. Check me out real quick.
Well, Gendry is saying to her, maybe you should be in the crypts. It will be safer for you. And she asks him, you're a fighter?
Yeah.
Because I've never seen you fight before.
It's like he can run pretty well. I mean, he made it record time from that battle with the White Walkers to the wall.
It's like Usain Bolt trying to play football.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane, dude.
But yeah, he's talking about how, like, yeah, no, I've seen the threat, and it's death. And she gives that speech.
Speech.
She gives that little monologue that we heard in the first trailer for the season.
She knows death. But like you said, it's a great way to prove. And that's also a nice little callback to the first episode when she shoots the arrow and she gets a bullseye right away, that she's always had a natural talent to be a fighter.
What do you think that guy off to the left was thinking? Right next to like that little post. It's like, what is she doing?
I'm right here. I don't
like,
have
I'm
any
working
eyeglasses.
here. It's like
there's no protective gear that I'm having that I have on. This is a scene that I wasn't expecting in this episode because we saw the image that they released with Bran in front of the weirwood tree, and I thought this would involve some sort of green seeing, him trying to find a secret, but it's actually a scene between Bran and Jaime. I think in this moment, he's almost foreshadowing Jaime's death, because he says to him, "Why did you defend me?" Bran saying, "I don't hold any resentment. I don't hold any anger towards you for what you did. I can understand it. You were trying to protect your family." If Bran would have told Ned and the king what happened, they would have killed Cersei. So
and Jaime.
His hands were tied. But what did you think about this scene, this interaction between these two characters?
I thought it was a little quick, but it was to the point, I guess. Obviously, we know Bran, and the first time we saw him this season, he was intervening with Sansa and Daenerys, saying, we don't have time for this. So I don't think he's going to be one to hold a grudge or actually focus on these small things when you think about the larger picture. He knows what it meant. If he never would have fell out of that, he might not have been the three-eyed raven. He's in his situation because of what Jaime did. So you want to call it fate, destiny, or whatever you want to call it, I think he understands that. And he's probably focusing on a million different things by now. He's not, and he's honestly, you can make the point that he's not the same kid that Jaime threw out the window.
Yes. When he tells Jaime, "I'm no longer Brandon Stark," Jaime says, "Who are you?" And in that moment, I think Bran knew not to say the three-eyed raven. Don't say the three-eyed raven, because that's going to creep him out. He says, "I'm somebody else."
What if he said no one? It's like you got the wrong script. It's like, oh no, this is Maisie Williams' script.
Oh, Maisie. That would have been a weird sex scene.
Whoa, what?
Bran and Gendry?
Oh, okay. I don't think she used no one. All right, man.
But I think it foreshadows Jaime's death because Jaime says, "You forgave me now. What happens afterward?" And Bran says, "How do you know there's going to be an afterward?" Then the scene ends. So it was a great interaction that I wasn't expecting between these two characters, but Jaime approaches this moment as, "Why did you defend me?"
Mm-hmm.
So once again, we can not necessarily see the change in Jaime's character, but it's not something he would have done in the earlier seasons.
Did he get a new hand?
I think he might have got a glow up there.
Yeah, it looks pretty fresh.
Yeah, just from a storytelling perspective in this episode, I thought the pacing was very, very well done. This scene switches to Jaime and Tyrion, and then the next scene is Jaime and Brienne. It all felt very natural, these interactions. And then Tyrion and Jaime just back together in Winterfell. When you go back to those first two episodes of Season 1, how the perception of Lannisters hasn't changed, but how much they've changed in that time.
Well, you see when Tyrion's walking through the courtyard, someone gives him a look, and then you got the guy up top. He gives like a little spit at them. And Northerners are very mean to outsiders.
Spit it out, you wee shit.
But yeah, it is a nice moment between them. And I love when he's telling that story about how he wants to die, and it's a callback from previous seasons. And Jaime finishes the line. It kind of implies that Tyrion said this millions of times in the past, and it's just that brotherly bond that they have. But then Jaime, it's like, all right, I know you, Tyrion. You're probably going to go on about something else. Let me go check out my girl Brienne over here.
Well, when Tyrion says, too, about how he was fooled by Cersei, Jaime says, "I was fooled as well." And Tyrion...
Well, he's like, you always been fooled. And we've talked about that.
Not that you've been fooled. You knew what she was.
Yeah.
You willingly just went along with it because you loved her.
Well, we said that.
It's the first time that Tyrion has told Jaime in a way that your love for Cersei was a mistake.
Yeah.
I know I can appreciate what you always did for me, but that was your biggest weakness, and I'm glad that you finally left that behind.
Hammers home the opinion we've always had of Jaime and why he's such a great character. And he says to Bran, like, I'm not that guy anymore, but I kind of think he still is, but it's just a different perspective and who he is when he's with Cersei. Because he had that redemption with Brienne, and then when he gets back to King's Landing and is with Cersei again, he kind of falls back into that old self. And we've seen that battle throughout the seasons, and it's why he's such a great complex and why his arc has been probably the strongest of anyone in the whole series.
And this moment with Brienne speaks to that as well, where he is away from Cersei and he's talking to a woman that he's come to admire, and he asks to serve under her, saying, "I heard that you have command of the left flank. It would be an honor to serve under you." And Brienne is surprised as well. She's saying, "We've never held a conversation this long where you didn't criticize me or make fun of me in some way." So you can see not that growth, but it's that separation where he's shedding off this persona of the Kingslayer. He's not trying to be what everybody thinks of him. He's just being himself.
Yeah.
It was a great moment between them, and that's why I said the pacing was great, because he spots Brienne out in the courtyard fighting with Podrick, the first look at Podrick.
He's looking good, man.
Yeah, he looks very confident. And this was a scene that we also anticipated from the preview, this conversation between Daenerys and Sansa. At first, I thought they were going to settle their differences, but the scene ends once again with a disagreement. Daenerys brings up that there should be an understanding between both of them because they've both been through so much and they've both found themselves in positions of power. That if anybody is going to relate to one another in this show, it should be Daenerys and Sansa.
And we kind of talked about that on the preview where we thought Daenerys might have that mutual respect for Sansa. Even though that she's the queen, she will get where she's coming from and she will notice the similarities that they have as two women in this world who have rose up and gotten positions of power. But one thing, Dany, I love you. Stop making fun of Jon's height. It's uncalled for. He can't control it. And honestly, he's probably average height.
Yeah, he's like 5'8".
Maybe a little below average, but
5'8's average height.
Okay, yeah. Let's stop making fun of him, man. He's been through a lot.
I know.
He's doing his best, and you're gonna throw that out there? Uncalled for.
Just referencing her ex-boyfriend too.
Yeah, it's like a Dario and Khal Drogo, whichever one you want to pick.
Oh, I was thinking Drogo.
Well, they're both.
No, actually, I was thinking Zoran on Daxos. That dude was like 6'8".
I was going Lorak.
Lorak?
Yeah.
No way. Fresh album. You think Lorak and Podrick do a feature together?
I don't know. That'd be fucking.
That would set the whole fucking
they'll
kingdom
burn
down.
the shorts.
Burn them all.
They don't even need wildfire for the White Walkers. Just that fucking flames off that album.
But I also like the point that Sansa made about how men, when they're in love, how love is the death of duty, that they can be manipulated and used. And then Daenerys conversely says, I was the one who was manipulated. I fell in love with your brother. I wanted to take back the Iron Throne. That's still kind of what I want to do. But I'm here because I love him, and I'm fighting this war against these ridiculous ice demons.
But she saw the threat, and we could talk about that.
Well, it's a
too.
good moment. It's a
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I'm just saying, and from her, like, how much is it is love, and how much is, oh, you saw the Night King, what he can do, so you have to fight this threat anyway. So, and you can make the argument too, like, Jon didn't have to bend a knee to Daenerys because Daenerys saw what happened, and she would have fought anyway.
Right.
But
she also didn't have to fly her dragons up north.
No, true. So
it's you're still taking the word of a note written by Gendry.
Yeah. No, I think that's the biggest show. That's the biggest sign of how she feels about Jon is her actually going north. I have to fight.
And then the conversation once again turns to the aftermath of the war, saying, once we win.
You never want to look ahead.
No, she's counting her chickens right here. She's saying what happens to the north. And I think this is an indication that Sansa will rule the north one way or another if Dany allows them to be a separate kingdom, because there is that moment in Season 6 where Yara and Theon ask for their independence, and Daenerys says they're not demanding it, they're asking. The others are free to ask as well. But Daenerys does pull back her hand. Once again, it's one thing to say something, but then when it becomes real, it's an entirely different situation because the north makes up the majority of the Seven Kingdoms. You lose the north, you're not the queen that your father was. You're not the queen that all of your ancestors were for 300 years. So she pulls back her hand after they embrace, and then I don't necessarily have a problem with the way that Sansa embraced him, but I think in this moment, I guess she might remember everything. Obviously, she does remember everything that he did for her. He saved her from Ramsay. A hug? A handshake, maybe? A firm handshake.
You know, it's crazy because I fucking hate Theon.
Yes, you do.
I think he's Reek.
You tweeted in this moment he was Theon Stark.
Not Theon Stark. He's still. I think Rob would be proud because
Rob would be proud.
When I first saw the scene take place and Sansa was obviously going to embrace him, I was kind of like, I kind of felt the same way you did. But then just thinking back on everything Ramsay did to her and what she had to endure, and Theon is the one to break through from that Reek character and bring her to safety. I don't know. It's kind of when you reflect on that, it's like how do you not embrace this man? How can you not? He's here. He's fighting for the North. Yara has the Iron Islands. He made it a point to come here to defend the Starks because he knew he wronged them. He redeemed himself by freeing Yara after he failed to do so previously, and now, in his mind, the last thing he has to do to completely redeem himself is to fight for the Starks.
Theon's a character that has changed. He is a fundamentally different character. For better or worse, what he went through, he is not the same man that he was because he was such a cocky little shit in that first season. He wasn't a good dude. I think Rob enjoyed his company because he was there and he was a troublemaker. That was writing on the wall what Theon was going to do. He has changed. And obviously you don't want anybody to go through that. In a way, he's a better man. And I'm very upset with Davos that he didn't mention that he was cooking nerd soup here.
I thought it was Bowl of Brown.
Bowl of Brown?
I thought that's implied.
You think it comes in like a cereal box? Bowl of Brown. I'm Davos Seaworth, the Onion Knight.
Ew.
Comes in one of those Canadian milk bags. That's how they ship it here. This was a very sweet moment between Davos and the young girl. But before that, too, the soldier, or the man who was trying to get out, he was trying to claim some sort of illness. I can't fight. I'm my mother's third son. I need a deferment. And Davos is saying, dude, I thought he was going to pull out the glove.
It should have been a conscientious objector. I was watching actually Hacksaw Ridge for this episode.
Right.
But actually, no, he went through some more shit than this guy probably would have, so.
It was a moment of encouragement, saying, I survived the Battle of the Bastards, and I have no idea how to even hold a sword, but I'm a fan favorite, so
yeah.
Why don't you do something in this scene, in this episode, that makes you a fan favorite, and you won't die? Carsey's looking at us like, really?
Yeah.
I was a fan favorite, but this moment between Davos and the young girl, right away you think of Shireen.
Especially with the squad, that's obviously not a coincidence, and you can tell like the way you can almost see like Davos sees that in her and the way he's talking to her, and Gilly comes in, and it's a nice moment too. Like she wants to fight, she feels like she has to. Her brothers are fighting, and Gilly's like, "Oh no, we need you in the crypts to protect us."
Yeah, perfect way to save this little girl from herself.
Yeah,
it's a motherly moment from Gilly, and the first appearance of Gilly in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And another reunion we have here is when Ed, Tormund, and Beric return to Winterfell, and you hear the one blow from the horn, and everybody thinks the enemies have arrived.
No, you guys didn't go to school tonight to watch. That's
Jon
Rangers.
knew.
That's Rangers returning.
That's Rangers. And I love the way that Tormund embraced Jon. Where Jon's running towards Ed, Tormund just tackles him out of nowhere. He's such a frat boy. My little crow.
I love his first thing on his mind. He's like, "Oh, big lady still here."
Is the big lady here?
Yeah.
Just looking around wide-eyed. And then Jon gives a speech because Tormund tells him that we have until the sun comes up, before the sun comes up tomorrow. And Jon gives that great speech. This was a great episode for speeches. Our enemy does not stop. They
The
do not tire.
montage too, them getting ready. I always love a good montage. It's one of the staples of what I've
Of Rocky movies?
Just like what I enjoy in movies. It's like, you give me a good montage, I'm like, hell yeah. Nothing sets the tone like a great montage.
I think this was my favorite scene of the episode too. I love war council scenes, and I
yes,
think this
war
is,
council.
Yeah,
they combined
the
them.
war room. No fighting in the war room. My favorite scene of the episode because we get that explanation from Bran of what the Night King wants, and I thought this was a brilliant explanation that he wants a forever night, and that his target is Bran because Bran is the world's memories, and the way that Samwell says that's what death is. It's the absence of memory. It's being forgotten. And that if the Night King wipes out Bran, and if he wipes out men, and that goes back to Archmaester Ebros from the previous season, played by Jim Broadbent, when he says that we are the world's memories.
In the Citadel, we lead different lives, for different reasons. We are this world's memory, Samuel Tarly. Without us, men would be little better than dogs. Don't remember any meal but the last, can't see forward to any but the next. And every time you leave the house and shut the door, they howl like you're gone forever.
And there's always been a theory that Sam is he'll write the history books of the Long Night and pretty much everything else that's happened in
the Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, kind of got that connection with Bran and Sam, right? Where Bran's the all-knowing, Sam is so in...
Sam's the wannabe all-knowing.
Yeah,
he would like to know everything.
He's so great, like he wants to know everything. He went to the Masterhood. He wants to read, just get as much knowledge as he can. So I think that's like a perfect match if that were to play out.
And the strategy, too. Bran saying that I need to be in a position of vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Because Jon says if we get to the Night King, then everybody else falls. I'm not so sure about that, but I do like that game plan. Where Bran says, I'm going to wait for him in the Godswoods. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Ooh.
He's going to be plugged in, right?
They're both going to plug in.
Yeah.
Like back in the day when you used to battle your boy in Pokemon. Yeah. You had to connect the fucking
with
Game
the
Boys.
Game Boys?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. They would sit down Indian style, put their hands over each other's eyes. Oh, you're cheating, you're cheating.
Yeah.
And then Theon says, I'll be the one to protect you with the Ironborn.
Yeah.
I love that moment.
That was nice.
So me and my crew will protect you.
Theon's back.
He is back.
Theon's back.
Theon Stark.
It took a while, too. Like
Bran gives him a head nod.
Yeah.
That's why I like those little touches of humanity within Bran. Arya bringing up the point, can Dragonfire kill the Night King? She looks towards Bran, and Bran says, I don't know. Nobody's ever tried it before. Also the line by Bran, the Night King has tried to kill previous three-eyed ravens. So that means that Brendan Rivers might have been learning from somebody else. I mean, in the show, he's not really Brendan Rivers.
Who knows?
I guess generations of three-eyed raven who held this position. And that means the Night King has been lurking.
Yeah.
We were all told that the White Walkers came back in the beginning of the series. That was their reemergence, but it sounds like they've been doing some other stuff in the time between. But that I can't wait for that moment. And there's a couple shots in the preview trailer of it looks like Jon is in the Godswoods.
Yeah, I said
they're gonna have the dragons lurking over the Godswoods. Next week's gonna be
next
crazy.
week's gonna be fucking insane, dude.
I don't know how we're gonna review it, honestly.
Like this episode was such like a great. I feel like all the reunions and all like the moments we wanted from last episode are in this episode, and I think it was just the perfect calm before the storm. This threat is lurking, and all these moments you have that in the back of your mind. It was just It was great, to be honest.
Tyrion says, I fought during the Battle of the Blackwater. I chopped some dude's leg off with my axe. That's a legendary axe. Podrick pulls it out. See that axe? But Daenerys makes a good point, saying that we have enough men. It's not that we have enough men, but you're not going to make that much of a difference. You are more valuable alive. So because we need your mind. And it's that scene that she had with Jorah, too, where I think we skipped over that.
We did.
Yeah, where Jorah tells her, you need to trust this man because he learns from his mistakes, and he is brilliant. He does have a brilliant mind. Yeah,
Tyrion's kind of taken aback from it, but I think it does make sense, and it's kind of building off that moment she had with Jorah, where she's actually taking Jorah's advice. Realizes there is more for Tyrion to give. And even though he hasn't had the best track record since becoming Hand of the Queen for her, he's able to learn from his mistakes, and he's a valuable asset if they were to survive the long night. I still think Tyrion will have a role to play in Battle of Winterfell because he's such a beloved character, and it's kind of sad to see how his arc kind of dipped down. And if he's not involved in this big event, the biggest event of Game of Thrones, the culmination of everything we've been waiting for, that'd be very disappointing for me.
Well, it's a scene between him and Bran at the end of this scene where he sits down with Bran and he says, I want to hear your story. And then the scene cuts. I don't know if that was a throwaway scene or if there was something discussed there, some sort of game plan that they have between them. Tyrion, like Samwell Tarly, is very interested in world history. Obviously, he just devours books. That's what he was known for. He drinks and he knows things. So in this moment, he is drinking and learning things from Bran. So I wonder if there was some sort of information, if there was a speck of information shared between them that's going to come into play in episode 3. And moving on, Grey Worm and Missandei, this sounded like a death note.
Yeah.
Saying, what would you like to do after the war? And whenever you have characters in a movie or a TV show talking about the future, about when victory is achieved, you know they're dead.
One of
or
them.
Grey Worm's dead.
Grey Worm's dead.
Imagine it's Missandei. That would be even more tragic.
Yeah, weird. After the war, you see these looks we're getting from these Northerners? We got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, we all need to get out of here. Go back to North. It was a sweet moment.
It's like, fuck these people. Like, oh, all I hear about is the North, so honorable. You have Ned Stark riding. It's like, scumbag since we've been here. It's a relationship that's kind of grown on me between Grey Worm and Missandei, because obviously everyone had the jokes when it first started, but that kind of made it more beautiful when you think about it. Just the fact Grey Worm is who he is, and so is Missandei. So I don't want to say it's too obvious that it's not going to happen. I just think it's probably inevitable. It would kind of be a fitting end for Grey Worm to die for the person who gave him this opportunity, and in some heroic fashion where I can probably see him and Jaime fighting side by side at some point, because they did have that exchange of looks where he was saying, I'm going to keep an eye on you, and you kind of see these things when these big battles happen where two people who might not agree or might not be on the same side kind of come together to fight. I don't know, I'll be sad when it happens, if it happens, but I think it's kind of inevitable.
I'm so upset that Jon didn't pet Ghost. It was great to see him chilling on the battlements with Jon and Ed. Give him a little scratch under the chin.
I want to see him meet
Scratch
Daenerys.
his ears. Yeah.
I want Daenerys to like pet him and stuff. Like, oh, it's so cute.
Me and Teddy got so excited when we saw him.
She gets on Ghost and rides him.
But to see Ghost back, it was great. We haven't seen him since season 6, but he's there chilling. He's going to do some stuff next episode.
He has to.
If he dies, I'll stop watching the show. End of the channel. To see these 3 characters back together, and Sam gives the speech about, look where we started and now where we are. And they mentioned Gren and Pip. That was the big 5 of the Night's Watch. And it's just those 3. And then Ed has the callback line saying, last man, burn the rest of us.
Yeah. Ed's
got the jokes.
Well, no, he's always like, fuck, we're dead already. So let's see what happens here.
Glass half empty.
No, it's a nice moment between them. It's the I feel like it can kind of get lost, like the meaning that they all have to each other in their relationship in past seasons, because that's Jon Snow, right? Night's Watchman, leaving Winterfell, giving up all those things, coming there, and that's where he became his character, and he grew and developed with Sam, with Ed, with Gren, with Pip. So it's nice to see them all back together.
I love the line by Ed when he says, now our watch begins. I wanted Jon to say, has our watch ever really stopped? Yeah. Been watching for 7 seasons now. Jon checks Sam, too. The disrespect of Jon saying, Sam, would you be better off in the crypts? You want to protect little Sam and Gilly, right? That's what I meant.
Yeah. He tried to give him like an alternate like route to go by not like, he didn't want to say it, so he gave him like, oh, but you want to protect Gilly and little Sam, right? Not say, you kind of suck. Give your sword to Jorah.
Right. Well, if you're going to fight, at least give the sword up.
Yeah.
And Samwell says, I'm the only man to kill a White Walker and Thenns.
Then. Yeah.
Well, it's not. He's the man who catches the fish, and then the fish gets gradually bigger throughout the years. I had like 4 Thens coming at me. I was like, this is it. Only got 4 shots in the crossbow.
Guys, I actually killed Mad King Aerys. So put some respect on my name.
Sam goes all the way back.
Like, Jaime's right behind you. It's like, no, you didn't.
That was me.
It's actually, no, yeah, he did. Finally, I'm free of the Kingslayer.
Sam the Kingslayer,
yeah.
Not Sam the Slayer. And another moment of reflection here with Tyrion and Jaime, and a name drop of Tywin, where Tyrion says, I wish father were here. Me too, Tyrion. That's
kind of like what we were saying. Like, we just wanted Tywin to see the Night King.
Yes.
Like the real threat.
I wish he would have said that too, that if he were here to see the real threat, the army of the dead. But he says that he wishes Tywin was there to see his 2 sons die defending Winterfell. Yeah. And then they're joined by Podrick and Brienne. Brienne is like Podrick's mother.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I love how she's a parental figure. It's like, only half a glass. And then Tyrion gives him the hookup. It's like, I gotcha. He's like the cool uncle.
Yeah, the glass is overflowing.
Yeah.
And Podrick even gives him a little head nod. I like confident Pod.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I don't, because he might steal my girl. He can fight. He could sing. He's confident now.
We'll get there when we talk about the Jenny Vault song.
It's a rap, dude.
That pissed me off. That seriously pissed me off. It's like when
Bradley Cooper.
And
A Star Is Born.
Oh my God.
How do you compete with this?
It's like how many things do you need?
When he pulls out a flaming sword in episode 3, I am Azor Ahai. Fuck you, Pod. Bastard.
Better yet, a flaming dick.
Well, I guess we can't transition to a new scene. I guess we have to continue after that flaming dick joke. But Tormund...
Oh, you're keeping that in, huh?
Yeah, I'm keeping that in.
Okay.
Well, Tormund, the story that Tormund tells, because right away he's jealous of Jaime. So why is she sitting close to him? That's weird. You ever hear the story about how I killed a giant and then fucked his wife?
Chicks love that.
Right.
It's like...
That's the first time he told it, right? Because he tells it in the books.
I think, yeah, but
because Ygritte's like, I don't want to hear the story about the giant that you never fucked.
Yeah.
No, fucked a bear.
Yeah.
That's his story, right?
What hasn't he fucked?
Brienne.
True. Yeah, like Davos comes in. It's kind of reminiscent. He came in with Davos, and he doesn't want to drink. Kind of reminiscent before the Battle of the Bastards. I don't like to drink before these things.
Tormund's got his moonshine.
And it also reminded me a little of before Blackwater. Just a bunch of people just hanging out before the inevitable. They probably all think they're going to die. So let's just hang out. Let's have a couple of glasses of wine. Let's talk. We'll sing. We'll tell stories.
The way that he started drinking his drink, Tormund.
Yeah.
Just all
he brought his own out of the fucking
beer.
horn.
Yeah. The horn of Jormund. No,
yeah.
It's not. It's another moment, too, of characters just hanging out. The Hound, Beric, and Arya. But before Beric gets there, it's just the Hound and Arya. And it confirms what we already knew, that the Hound and Arya, they did care about each other. Just sharing this brief moment, even though Arya does leave and say, I don't want to spend my final moments with you two miserable shits. The Hound is a character that all his life he was only fighting for himself. He was selfish in that manner, but he admits, for a long time I fought for you. That's what I chose to do with my life until we were separated, until I got my ass beat by the big woman.
So I fought for you, yeah. That's one of the best Hound moments, when he sticks up for Arya. When he says all these things that happened, your mother's dead, your father's dead, and all this.
I'll take you to safety.
Safety? Where the fuck's that? Her auntie Neri's dead. Her mother's dead. Her father's dead. Her brother's dead. Winterfell is a pile of rubble. There is no safety, you dumb bitch. You don't know that by now. You're the wrong one to watch over her.
And that's what you're doing? Watching over her?
Aye, that's what I'm doing.
We were talking about last time when they were like, this is how they would interact. And it's so true to their characters, especially last episode and now this one. It's like, you don't expect them to be like, Hound, Arya, like swinging around, dancing, hanging out.
Arya says she's changed. The Hound brings up, you used to talk all the time.
And she says, Beric off her list, which,
yes,
it's kind of a thing. Like, her list got smaller and smaller without killing people throughout the seasons.
Thank God it did.
Made me think, too, because, like, Thoros obviously dead, and there's no presence from the Red God besides Beric, so maybe a Melisandre reemergence.
That's Melisandre's music. She had the elephants the whole time. Yeah, I think Arya made the right decision here, spending her time with somebody else besides the Hound and Beric.
Yeah.
Gendry. She goes down to see about her weapon. Good move.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
She played this whole thing very beautifully. She's so charismatic, Maisie Williams, and it's that confidence that I talked about with Podrick, that Arya might steal your girl, too. But it's also the moment where Gendry reveals for the first time to somebody other than Stannis or Melisandre or Davos that he is Robert Baratheon's bastard son. And the way that she's pressing him, too, about what happened with Melisandre, it's very cute.
Yeah.
When she's saying, so how many girls did you have? Oh, I didn't count. He's got a body count.
You know how they say, like, guys multiply their number by 3?
Yeah.
And he says 3, right?
Right,
and the one we've seen is Melisandre, so It's one, Gendry. Come on, man.
It's not a bad one.
No, but
It's like LeBron winning in Cleveland. It's worth more than Durant's too. I don't know if I would consider this fan servicey because they're two characters that they had that bond and now they are adults in the world of Westeros. Arya saying that if we die tonight, I want to know what this is like.
Mm-hmm.
The one pleasure that everybody's always trying to acquire. I never thought a scene of somebody being knighted would almost make me cry, but boy, was I fighting back these tears.
Just let them flow, man.
I should have.
That's what I've been doing.
Well,
I've been a fucking emotional mess between these first 2 episodes, man.
I think this was the moment that got me the most.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize in this moment, until this moment, how much I love Brienne. And there's even, going back to scenes when, in Season 6, when they arrive at Castle Black, the fact that she is so committed to defending Sansa Stark, because of that relationship she had with Catelyn, she is just one of the most honorable characters in the show.
Well, like we were talking about, too, like Theon saving Sansa, when they're running from them and Brienne's the one that saves them and pledges herself to Sansa, that's one of the episodes in a rewatch, a moment. I'm like, I was tearing up. I'm like, This didn't happen when I first watched this, but just seeing like Sansa's story and seeing Brienne's story for like the millionth time, just for whatever reason, how it ends up.
And that it comes from Jaime, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Jaime is the one who makes her a knight. And there's a comedic moment before that where Tormund says, if I was a king, I would knight you 10 times over. He's smooth, man.
That's a hell of a pickup line.
It is.
I'm surprised it didn't work, to be honest.
No, well, Jaime's like, well, I am a knight. Tormund's like, fuck.
Yeah.
And I love how they're all standing up, and it's almost like they're watching a moment in history.
Mm-hmm.
The first woman to become a knight in Westeros.
Sir Brienne
of Tarth. Another reunion that I didn't necessarily anticipate, but it was nice to see Lyanna and Jorah. Probably not a reunion.
Probably
an introduction,
yeah,
in a way. And that can kind of go over some people's heads, fans of the show, that they are related.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put that together. Because even in the moment, I'm like, oh yeah, they're related. She's arguing with Jorah about wanting to fight.
Yeah.
She's the best. And Sam's like, am I interrupting? And she's like, no, we're done here.
She's
And then she gives him that little cute line, I wish you good fortune, cousin.
Yeah.
Like, I was a little hard on him. Give him a little pat on the head.
Gotta be nice. Yeah, Jorah learned real quick. It's like, hey, we're Mormonts. Come on. It's like,
What did you think about this moment of Sam giving Jorah Heartsbane? Poetic in a way because of Jorah giving Longclaw to Jon. It's kind of some karma hitting Jorah.
Dead family and all, so nowhere else to give it to.
Right. And I'm sure Jorah, if he survives, he will give it back to Sam.
Yeah, and it makes that moment too. I think I forgot what video I kind of criticized, like why Jorah got grayscale. And I feel like this episode, because they obviously gave it from John Connington to Jorah from the books to the show, and it kind of like felt a little, it didn't really fit too well. But now in this episode, there's 2 instances where that kind of gets brought up, where he had to go away, and that allowed Daenerys to give Tyrion hand of the king instead of, I feel like it was heavily implied that Jorah would have been hand of the king.
Well, he's essentially the de facto hand of the king for five seasons.
Yeah,
almost.
But they kind of imply that, like, oh, because you were away, I gave it to Tyrion. And then she says, oh, you're defending the person that took basically your title. And this as well, it gave Sam a reason to help him and save his life. And obviously, the connection he has with Jeor Mormont, it's all culminates into this moment, and it's nice. He's obviously more capable than Sam, so it makes sense.
And this moment here, Podrick singing Jenny's song, it's something that I never would have thought I would have heard in the show. Because there's so many theories about Jenny's song in the books and how it connects to Rhaegar, Jon's father, and how inside of Jenny's song may be the prophecy of the prince who was promised. That's where Rhaegar hid the prophecy. And there's so much Game of Thrones lore and mythology attached to this song. To hear Podrick singing it too, once again, he's singing Jenny's song and he's killing it.
Yeah, I mean, actually saying it like that, like all the thing, and it's on Podrick. It's like if it was like Tyrion or something, then I would have been like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Podrick.
Well, he has the voice.
Yeah, no.
He's got the good voice.
Well, that's why I'm pissed too. Like, all right.
So you wanted Bronn there to sing it. Imagine if Bronn sang it.
Yeah.
Ooh, now I'm upset.
Well, no, it's obviously like when I first heard him start singing and I recognized the song, I'm like, oh wow, this is big. And the scene that follows it too obviously plays into that so much more. But just the fact that
wasn't by accident, right?
No,
they're hinting at that theory.
But just the fact that Podrick, we know what he could do. We've seen it happen. I don't want to get too graphic, but the copious details Tyrion knows.
Tyrion knows, yeah.
And Bronn. But no one else does, and that mystery's there. But obviously, he knows something nobody does. And now we can see he's a good fighter. He's teaching people. He can wield that sword like nobody else. And now he can sing.
He's essentially the Jamie Foxx of Westeros.
It's like, all right,
he's the most talented man in the world.
You can't have it all.
Apparently he can.
He has to have something wrong with him.
Now
he has to die, actually. Yeah, I hope Podrick dies. You can't have too many things going for you.
He probably can't juggle. Imagine if he was a great juggler. Just in the background juggling 3 things.
Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he's juggling fucking White Walkers next episode.
Juggling dragon glass daggers and throwing them at him.
Nothing this guy can't do.
He's literally, he's ridiculous. But that was such a great moment. And the transition, like you said, to the moment between Jon and Daenerys in the crypts of Winterfell, not a coincidence. There were 2 ways that she could have reacted. I have another member of my family who's still alive, or there's a threat to my claim to the Iron Throne, and she chose the latter.
Or I just fucked my nephew, but...
Well, they don't really seem concerned about that.
No, they don't.
Because it is medieval times and these things happen. You fuck the bastard who's your nephew, who's been hidden for 17 years.
Oh, that old thing.
We've all been in that position.
Yeah.
It's very awkward. But they brush past that. Daenerys brings up all the stories that she was told about Rhaegar, that he was a sweet man, he was a decent man, that he sang, that he gave money to the poor. It doesn't make sense that he would do this to Lyanna. And Jon says, yeah, because he didn't. Because he loved her, because they were married, they had a son, that son is me. I thought this scene was handled beautifully.
Jon, too, we've seen it in the past where he's not one to lie, even though it would kind of help the situation out. Because you don't need this other distraction when the White Walkers are right on your doorstep. The same thing last season when he tells Cersei that he lets loose that he bent the knee to Daenerys.
I think that's the moment, too, where Daenerys thought, oh my goodness, this man is too honorable, almost. And it's when she says, I fell in love with him, that's the moment where I know forever I can trust him.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing where it's like, all right, maybe we could have waited until after the war, if there is an after the war, to bring this up. But it's like she has this feeling about Lyanna, and Jon just can't not tell her the truth.
Well, when the White Walkers come and they walk up to the battlements and she storms off, I wonder if this is going to put doubt in her head throughout this battle. Because I think before the horns blew, Jon was going to say, I have no intention to sit on the Iron Throne. Mm-hmm. That's all you. I'll be the one to support your claim. I'll remain as Warden of the North.
Can we just get married and make things a hell of a lot easier?
Right. And I think that's where that conversation was going. But now it puts the doubt in Daenerys' head. Obviously, I don't think this is going to happen. There could be a moment during the battle where Jon's in trouble, and in the back of Daenerys' mind, that's my biggest competition now.
Yeah.
Maybe I hesitate for a split second, and she does save him, but then Jon realizes that she did hesitate, and that drives another wedge between them, because things get very complicated, and now the war has begun.
Well, like we talked about, this whole lead up, like that's so
Game of Thrones.
Well, no, it's like it's just such a part of her character where she's worked so hard and everything she's been through has been even she said she gave up her throne to help Jon. Like she got manipulated, and now she's kind of like, oh, I did this, and now he's saying that he has a better claim than I do.
The way she described it too.
Yeah, she's like, oh, you're making this. Oh, your best friend and your brother are doing this. It's kind of like. I don't believe you. And just thinking about the person Jon is and how he gives up his honor at times. He's too honorable at times. Like, why would he make this up? And Bran, she obviously knows that he knows something no one else does. And from all accounts, she probably would think Sam is a trustworthy person. So she didn't really have time to reflect and think about it because you hear the horns. So it can be something that's in the back of both of their minds heading forward.
3 blows for White Walkers.
White
Walkers are here.
You got to give a 4th.
At this point, right?
Crew, yeah. You might need 4. It's like 3 for White Walkers, 4 for we're fucked.
Yeah, 4 for Run. They've got we saw 10 of them, right?
There's a bunch. There's a bunch.
That's what we've been saying.
That whole front line looked like they were stacked of White Walkers, man.
They're taking what is it called? The Vanguard? The White Walkers were all battling for the Vanguard.
Yeah.
And it's when you go back to that very first scene of the show, the White Walkers were moving. Mm-hmm. They were sprinting after Waymare Royce and Garrett and Will. Shout out to those 3 because they were right. And they were the first casualties of this war. They were moving, dude. They were fast. They were supernatural. I wonder if they're going to move like this during this battle.
Well, yeah, we were always talking about how what we wanted to see out of this battle from the White Walkers, especially because we've only seen them in doses, maybe 3 or 4 at once. And we're like, oh, if that's all they have, obviously we didn't think that, but if that was, the battle should be fairly easy to win. Just aim for them, right? Everyone has Dragon Glass. Everyone pretty much has a weapon that can destroy them, so it wouldn't be too hard. But if they got 100 of these guys walking around, moving like that, absolutely taking people out left and right, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath, a massacre. That's what I'm expecting. This episode's going to be utter chaos.
Yeah, and I think these first 2 episodes can almost be seen as one 2-hour episode. I thought they both did a very good job of setting up this season. It does feel like a prologue. Like you said, the calm before the storm. And episode 3 is going to be absolute chaos. I can't wait for that episode. But I would probably give this a 9 out of 10. And everything felt natural, all the interactions. It was very well written. It didn't feel rushed. I thought the pacing was very crisp. And it's a strong start to this season, and things are about to get crazy.
No, yeah,
episode.
I love this episode. It's everything I wanted for a kind of calm before the storm, like you said. Just talking about the Battle of Winterfell, the biggest battle in the history of film, right? Something that we've been waiting to see since episode 1 of the series, and this felt like a very nice, natural calm before that storm. Everyone talking, reflecting on the impending battle, and we get all these character moments that I think, after all these years of following their journey, it was just very nice to see.
And we'll see you guys here next week for episode 3, the longest battle ever committed to film, and Endgame. So, actually, we might not see you guys next week, because Monday morning, we might be dead.
Well, we got the spoiler podcast.
It just might kill us.
Yeah.
We might be casualties of both battles. Thanos and the Night King are coming.
Damn.
Get ready. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and before we go, I want to quickly thank our Patreon supporters. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to grow and evolve as a channel, so thank you for your generous pledges. If you are interested in supporting our channel through Patreon, visit www.patreon.com/nerdsoup, and you can see the different rewards we offer to our Patreon supporters. T-shirts, mugs, stickers, access to our behind-the-scenes video, and more. Thanks again for watching this video, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Or dislike, don't share, and unsubscribe. It's a binary world, folks.